Nice, man.
Nice.
Hey, man.
Brilliant.
Thank you.
Right. Right.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of What a Week. You're here with me, Terry Martin, and of course I'm not on my own. I'm here with Mr. C and Mr. C comedian, should I say, and Tony Crossbody. Hi guys.
Good evening. Good evening, everyone.
Is it bad if I miss out the comedian bit?
No, you know, it's all right, Terry. It's you, man. It's you. It's you. Don't worry, Terry.
It just felt wrong saying Mr. C and just leaving it there. I felt rude. That's how I felt.
They should know who I am right now.
Yes, it's true. It's true. They should know your name by now. But how are you guys doing? How was your weekend?
Very, very fine, thank you. Saturday was absolutely beautiful. I was out in the sun, basking in the sun. It was wonderful. Absolutely wonderful.
Yeah. Getting that vitamin D. Lovely. Tony?
Yeah, it was a lovely weekend. It was a lovely. Huh?
Are you hungover?
A little bit. I'll tell you about that in a second. But I was just about to say that the weather was lovely over the weekend, wasn't it? And then Boris came out with his announcement on Sunday, you know, with utmost clarity, so that we could know exactly where we stand, right?
Yes, so, you should be going out, but don't go out. Go to work, but don't go to work. Stay home.
Perhaps stay home. You know. So to console myself, I went to a Zoom party, you know, where I got inebriated with a few hundred people.
Right.
I was looking for Mr. C, but he was nowhere to be found. So that was my weekend. I've just about recovered.
Mr. C, where were you?
I was out looking for Boris. I was thinking, should I box him? No, don't box him. Slap him. No, don't slap him. Kick him. No, don't kick him. Headbutt him. That's what I was thinking. Which one? Which one to give? Which one?
Oh my gosh. Honestly, the first thing that happened after that speech is one of my friends called me and they said, can you explain to me what just happened there? Does anyone understand? I think the whole world was up in uproar about what really did he say or not say? That's the thing. I think we can also look into what he didn't say. And please, everybody who's watching, feel free to message us in the comments. Give us your opinion on Boris's speech. What did you get from it, or what did you get from what he didn't say?
I think the one thing that was clear from Boris's speech was that he was still under morphine from St. Thomas's Hospital.
He was high on drugs.
High.
Yeah, his statements were a bit like his hair. It was everywhere, wasn't it? Really.
All over the place. In conclusion, what did you get from it, Tony? What was your conclusion on his speech?
Stay home and stay home and go out if you need to, but if not, stay home. Perhaps go to work if you need to, but if not, stay home. Yeah, that was it. Yeah. What does it mean? I mean, it's probably much the same as whatever we were doing before. To be fair,
I think Boris was just trying to help those people who were confused, because before they was confused and they wasn't sure why they was confused. Now they can say, "Well, I'm confused because of Boris." So he's giving them clarity now. They know where the confusion come from. And the other thing as well, he was saying, if you have to go to work, then take the bus. Don't take the bus. Walk or ride. Now, if you live in London and you work at Luton, by the time you get to Luton, it's time to come back home, innit? If you're walking, take it. Madness, absolute madness, man. Crazy.
Do you think
sorry, I was just going to say, you kind of get the impression there's either two things going on here. They don't know what they're doing, or they know what they're doing and making you think they don't know what they're doing.
Yeah. This is it. That's more the side I was looking at. I was thinking, obviously, what I concluded is that they're in a bit of a tiff. Like, they don't know what's going on. They don't know how to handle this thing, but they can never admit to the fact that basically we're all effed because we have no clue what to do. We have no way in which to get around this thing at the moment. We all just have to sit inside, but they know they can't say that. So I feel like just blabbering on for 20 minutes saying actually nothing was just to cover up for the fact that they actually have no clue what's to happen next or how they're going to come out of this.
Or maybe their intention is to keep it going, right? But they can't tell you that outright. Do you see? So there has to be some form of fumbling and bumbling around so that you can excuse them as to why we've still got a situation where we're pretty much still under lockdown. So they've offered it to us in this way. So we can say, well, they don't know what they're doing. And while they don't know, we're still in this position.
Yeah. I mean,
it's possible. I don't know.
I feel sorry for Boris in a way, though, because he's just the frontline puppet for all the nonsense that's going on behind, isn't he? Like, obviously he has a say, but he's the one who has to take it, sit in front of everybody and take the abuse. Mike said one thing for sure, let the old people die because they cannot contribute to the GDP of the country. What do you think of that, Mr. C?
Boy. Well, boy, it's like they're not even just going for the old people now. They're going for everybody. They're going definitely for the black people as well. So, you know, they're like, oh, well, you know what? We've got the old people. This will, you know, we tried to get rid of them last year with the Windrush scandal. Let's sweep them up as well. So yeah, I think he's got a very good point. He's got a very, very good point, man.
Yeah, it is quite concerning. I saw a newspaper article talking about how they were talking about not resuscitating people with learning difficulties once they went into a coma state. So that tells you that, you know, there is an agenda where the elderly are concerned. And you know, when I thought about this, I think, you know what? Imagine those doctors and nurses who are actually pulling the plugs on these people. I wonder if they realize that they are participating in murder when they're doing this.
Or that's a bit strong, isn't it, Tony? Murder. That's a bit strong, isn't it, old chap?
It's a strong word.
Doctors and nurses are willfully committing murder, or are they blindly committing murder?
Well,
manslaughter.
Well, you know, whatever. If you take the life of someone that you're not authorized to take, then what is that?
That's about people playing gods, isn't it? Really, and again, because it's like what they've done in America. They've literally made it difficult for some of the hospitals to make that choice. Because they're saying, I think we discussed it last week again, where you're getting monetary incentives if you're saying that this person has COVID, and you even get more money if you're saying this person died from COVID. So it could make or break a hospital's budget by saying 20 people died from COVID rather than they haven't got it, or, you know, we can treat them. There's more money in the death.
Yeah. I mean, this is what Mike just said. All those who die without their heir to their assets, those assets go to the Duchess of Lancaster, who is the monarch's personal estate. So it's always business, isn't it? I believe there's always, they think about the business side of things before they think about us as a people. Even though the government are meant to be here for the people, they're not actually here for the people. They're here for the economy, for business. They've got to keep their money rolling. I think there's a lot of pressures coming in from all the people who invest into it. They've had to loosen things because the economy is obviously going down, and it's a lot. It's a lot. What about the fact that they were saying that children could go back to school possibly in stages? They're thinking of sending children back to school from June, maybe year ones. What do they say? Yes, reception year 1 and year 6. Would you send your child back to school?
It's absolute nonsense, because they're saying that it's fine to send the little children then back to school, because what happened is, for a lot of these wealthy people and people of privilege, they always have nanny and they have private school and sending. They've never had to have their child 24/7, and that's why they're sick and tired of little privileged Tommy and Tabitha in their yard. They want to get rid of them, so that's why they've done this. Because again, I'll tell you the other reason why it doesn't make sense. children are the most infectious things on the planet. Children pick up ticks, they pick up German meat, they pick up everything. So even though they may be immune to this thing, they're going to pick it up and bring it back and put it upon them parents. Because children are not going to social distance. They're not going to do that. No child is playing with another child from 2 meters away. It's impossible. Nonsense.
Yeah. Someone did say when the parliament can sit next to each other again, side by side, then they'll start sending their children back to school. Because it's like, why are you guys social distancing, but yet we're going to send all our children back to school? Makes no sense.
That's a good point. I think as well, if parents can, due to their circumstances, keep their children at home and homeschool them, that's probably better than actually sending them to school, because they probably will learn how to use their critical thinking abilities, which they don't learn in school, of course, and other social skills which will become useful for them later on in life. So if they can keep them home, I'd wait until children went back en masse before sending any kids to school.
Yeah, I would definitely want to know that there were some very serious measures being taken if our children were to go back to school. I.e., they would need to have the companies who are going to come in and sanitize the place. I want to know that the classrooms are going to be split so all the children are sitting. I mean, my children are a bit older than reception year, because as Cheryl said here, reception and year one don't know anything about social distancing. It's so true.
And not only that, they don't know anything about cleanliness. Because when they cough and they sneeze, it's in their hand. It's like, achoo!
Yeah.
And the next thing you know, they might all hug up. No, sir, no.
Yeah.
No.
I did see a video this week of Oriental school. I don't know where it was based, but this little boy walking into school. As he walks in, he gets greeted by different stations where different things happen. So the hand sanitizer happens, then he gets blown down with this, I don't know, it's like a body sanitizer. Then he has to go to the machine, open his mouth at the machine, and it scans his face to see if he has COVID. And then after that, he's taken into school. So could that be a measure that's taken in this country? I don't think so, anyway, because I don't know.
It looks like money for these tech companies who are making these machines to detect. You know how we had those scanners at airports and stuff, the scanners that sort of check for whether or not you're carrying a gun or whatever. Now, actually, I saw a report last night from, I can't remember if it was NBC News, about these new scanners that they've got in some schools where they're actually, which actually detect people for COVID. So
exactly.
Money for these tech companies, I'm sure we're going to start seeing some of this equipment being rolled out in due course.
Yeah, I think that's going to be one of the clauses after this, that you have to have some sort of facial recognition to go places, to enter certain buildings. That could be something that's going to happen. What are you going to say? Sorry, Mr. C.
No, I was going to say that, I wouldn't want to put my child through that. I wouldn't want my child to go through all of that kind of screening before they're in an environment for learning. I don't think that's conducive. It's like, imagine now, it's just like if you have to go through all of that kind of thing to even go to a dance. No. I'd change my mind. I'd be like, I can't be bothered with this.
Yeah.
I think I don't know if you've noticed, but certain shops now are saying, don't use cash anymore. Use your card. And their reasons for doing this is because they're saying that people are touching the paper money, okay, and somebody else who takes the paper money might catch COVID. So this is a very clever and insidious way of actually getting us used to now paying on card. Everything goes digital, centralized, control, and when you add in these pieces of equipment that they detect whether you have COVID or not, ultimately what we're seeing here is probably the end of privacy.
Yeah, definitely. And I think just the slow roll of everything happening is a very big pause into why we're in such a big mess. Because even Mike said here, he's commented saying that his 11-year-old nephew was in the US, has been having lessons from home in the US since January. And his other nieces and nephews in the Caribbean are having distance learning and have been having it for a while in those third world countries. Britain is a first world country. Something's fishy here. So is it a social cleansing we're having? That's what's happening? We're just under social cleansing, basically.
I really don't know. I really don't know. All I feel is that the world as we knew it will change. as I just mentioned, your privacy is gone. You know, a lot of the elderly will go. A lot of the people with disabilities will go, and you're going to have a system. You're going to have a system basically where we're really all going to be controlled. Everything about us, what we do, where we go, how we spend our money, we'll see tighter controls.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, there are some benefits to that, Tony. Is that now you know exactly what your missus is spending her money on. You know, she can't just smuggle shoes in the yard like what they all do it. All of you do it. Buy shoes on a secret and wait until it's out and about, and then you have ASOS delivery. You can't do it no more. The game is up. Game is up.
Oh yeah, that's actually a big problem. Thank you for reminding me of that. We're gonna have to find another way. Another uproar this week was Notting Hill Carnival cancelled. This is the news that I think most people were holding their breath on. I think we knew it was coming, but there was this little bit of hope when there was no news that maybe, just maybe, tiny whiny maybe, we were going to have Carnival. That was impossible to think so as far as I was concerned. But seeing it in writing actually hit hard. I don't know, how did you guys feel when you actually saw the writing of it? Notting Hill Carnival cancelled.
I didn't read it. I didn't want to read that. That's like when you get a Dear John letter from and you're in prison and from your wife to say that she's leaving you for her next month. I don't want to read them I don't want that kind of sadness in my life. Couldn't read it.
Couldn't read it. Do you usually go to Carnival, Mr. C?
It's right my doorstep.
Oh, okay.
I usually pass through. I usually hang with Mastermind down there at Sainsbury's, the top part. But yeah, Carnival is a big tradition for me, man. For me and my family as well. So it's part of our DNA.
And Tony, how do you think others are feeling? Because I feel that every year, Tony, there is something they try and put up about Carnival. Like they really want to shut it down, really. So do you think even after this, when things have calmed down, do you think they'll let Carnival come back? Or do you think this is going to be a reason for them to just cut Carnival completely?
To use Mr. C's relationship analogy, it's like you know that the relationship might end, and then it does. Now the thing is, how are you going to get it back? And this is going to be the challenge. I mean, I've said this before. I've always thought that they would cancel Carnival. Well, from a perspective of it takes a whole year to organise it. So if you've locked down the country and then 2 or 3 months, even if they lifted it now, you'd only get a piecemeal Carnival. Right, so from the organizational point of view, and obviously the manpower, the policing, and whatever it takes to organize it, it just wouldn't leave enough time. But as you said, they have spoken about limiting the Carnival, putting it in Hyde Park, and there's been a lot of uproar from residents around that way, talking about, well, can't you take that Carnival somewhere else? So I think there are certain vested interests who would like to see the end of it. And for the first time in its history, it's now been cancelled. I wonder if they're going to try and build on that.
That's what I feel also. How can they limit it and put it in Hyde Park? What difference does that make? People are still not going to be socially distancing. I don't think there's a way around this. Do you, Mr. C? Is there a way that we can still come together in this climate?
I mean, there's talk about a Notting Hill Carnival Zoom party. How that's going to work, I have no idea at all. I think there will be a few little breakaway individual kind of things happening within the area itself. But we'll just have to watch and see. I think it'll be very difficult for them to fully close Carnival down based on the fact of social distancing. Because if they set that kind of precedence, then I think some of our top black lawyers and legal experts will use that as precedents then to say, well, then you're not gonna have no Glastonbury. If we can't have Carnival, we're not gonna have Glastonbury.
True.
Because Glastonbury they're sleeping intense. They're right on top of each other. So if there's no more Carnival, there's no more Glastonbury. If Glastonbury can continue, so can Carnival. That's how I see it.
Yeah. And I think people are agreeing with that. Someone said that they've always wanted to bring Carnival to a close. I feel that too. Because every year they put out negative news about Carnival. Yeah. So Shirley said if Carnival comes back next year, I bet you it will be moved to elsewhere. This is it.
Shirley, take that back. Take it back. But again, she's right, because if you notice, it used to be well known as the Notting Hill Carnival, and then for a while they started calling it Europe's biggest street party. So this is how the subtle ways how they try and bring in wording to already shape your mind to accept what's going to come in the future. So we have to remember, it is the Notting Hill Carnival. It can only take place in Notting Hill, and it's got a historical reason why it has to be in Notting Hill as well.
Oh, does it? Quickly inform me, please. Please do.
When them petty boys was carrying on with their nonsense, and people like my father, my stepfather, my uncles, cousins had to literally go down to Notting Hill and drop some licks in a people's backside to make them know so you can't mess with it. And then it was celebrating our culture, coming together as a community and celebrating our culture and showing that together we are strong, we can celebrate, uplift our culture, be comfortable in the presence of each other, and understand that we're not individuals that people can pick on individually, but when we come together, we're very powerful and we're very proud people. And most importantly, we're about peace and love.
Yeah, definitely. And some street parties must happen that weekend because it brings communities together. It brings all types of communities together, doesn't it?
I think the main problem with why people want to shut down Carnival is that obviously the house prices in Notting Hill over the last 40 to 50 years have just gone through the roof. So what you've had people who've moved into the area because of affluence and the fact they want a 5-story house, which is now worth, anything between 2 to 5 million. And they don't want to see people bacchanalling outside their front. They don't want to see their little child. They don't want their little child seeing a policeman getting daggered by the soca queens. They don't want that for little Tabitha or little Jeremiah. They don't. So what they do, they've got a little bit of money. They try to make influence as regards to not having it anymore. But you know what? Move out of the area if you don't like it. Go back to Windsor, wherever you come from. Go wander Windsor with your whatless self. Stop being yourself for Carnival.
It's part of the parcel if you choose to live there that you're going to be in that area, and that's what happens each and every year. So I guess it's more for them.
I read something earlier today that said that the police are going to draft at least 500 officers in the area during Carnival to prevent people from having any sort of revelry whatsoever. So they are quite determined to lock this down permanently for this year. I think Shirley pointed out that they're going to use this as a staging post to change it next year. Possibly, but I think what they'll probably do is try to limit it. They'll keep it in Notting Hill, but they'll limit it, and then they'll come with the excuse that we have to put it somewhere where more people can sort of enjoy themselves, but not around here. And the problem is, the community doesn't have enough cohesiveness or political power in order to keep it there. You see, those Notting Hill residents, and these are high middle class people, and they've got connections and influences to get the job done of having Notting Hill Carnival moved. And that's the problem. You see, what we have is tradition. We created it in that area because there was a strong West Indian community which we wanted to share with the world. But that in itself is not enough leverage to keep it there.
Yeah, especially if, as Shirley said, people are putting up with people having sex, having number 2s on their doorstep. A lot of residents don't want that. And nobody would want that, really, because that's not what Carnival is about.
Well, that's what happens, you see. When you live in them kind of posh and privileged areas, you get more options with your Deliveroo and Uber Eats. Because they just do pizzas and patties. That's all they do. That's all they deliver to my door. We're not getting a number 2. And that's the sex on your doorstep. Did they say the address? Did they say what address it was?
Mr. C, we can always count on you. We can always count on you. Talking of mass gatherings, there is a group apparently called the UK Freedom Movement who are organising a mass gathering in Hyde Park this weekend. They say no to coronavirus bill, no to the mandatory vaccines, and no to new normal, and a no to the unlawful lockdown. So they said, bring a picnic, some music, and let's have some fun and say yes to life. They want to rebel. They want everyone to meet in Hyde Park this weekend and go against everything we've been told. I had to read it and I said, is this for real? This has to be a spoof. Surely people can't be so stupid and heartless. What's your feelings on this? Anyone?
Well, I feel like it's a trap. I feel like this is a trap. This is like those people who are not hearing, who don't want to social and self-isolate and adhere to the social distancing rules. Check on yourself, go out Hyde Park and find out what happened to you. You're gonna get some licks. Boris has got the army waiting for you. I don't trust it at all, because there's no faces behind it. And I think also as well, if you go down there, they're gonna have with this facial recognition equipment that they've got now, you're gonna be targeted, man. I feel so you're gonna be targeted, but I feel people are getting fed up, and people are trying to say, well, you know what, we're not going to be manipulated by the media or by the government, and we still have a right to express what we want to feel and what we want to say. We live in a country of freedom of speech, and so I'm going to express it.
Yeah.
Their own risk. Yeah, Tony.
There's movements in the states, in various states of America right now, where they're doing exactly the same thing, sort of forcing the governors of some states to lift the restrictions because they want to go to the beach and they want to party and they want to do their thing. So they're using, people power, and then this is being exacerbated by President Trump, who's saying, well, people have to exercise their rights. I'm not sure whether or not this particular organized meetup is legit, but in this country has a history of rebels and rebellion. Britain is actually not known for it's not a conformist culture. So there have always been sort of rebellious elements. That is how London came to be as big as it was, because originally it was just the city of London. But because rebels were being expelled from it, they created areas like Harrow and Hackney and all these other areas, because these individuals were formerly rebels living within the city of London. But the point being is that you're always going to get people who are at a point of being fed up. They're tired of lockdown, they're tired of the restrictions, and they want to prove to the government that they have the right over their own body to do what they want and be where they want. So if this is legit, then I can see people actually going out there and doing this. Whether the police are what actions the police are gonna take, I don't know, because we've actually had a little bit of a respite from the restrictions, really, based upon what Boris said about going out, not going out. So it'll be interesting to see what happens.
Yeah, I've been on Twitter and I've had a look, and apparently, the police have been told about it and are going to be there to, I don't know, what really can they do if a mass of people go? Can they really control that? What they're going to do, hose down people? I don't even think that's allowed.
No, they won't. Really? No, what they'll be doing is to probably seal off certain parts of the park or whatever, so that they'll use sort of what they use like a pincer formation to stop certain entrances and exits being used, so you can only go one way. So they won't be able to arrest, or they're not going to pull out cannons or guns on them, but they're just going to restrict, their movements by making only certain places accessible. Because I mean, if you're talking about thousands of people, how many police officers can actually control thousands of people? You haven't got enough police officers for that.
No, not at all. Not at all. When there's actually some. Oh, sorry, Mr. C, go on. Was you going to say something?
No, I was going to say that, you know what, I think, Tony, back in the good old days, that might have been the case, but the police now, when they're ready with some of the equipment the police have got now, they don't look like police anymore. So especially, again, when they bring out the horses and everything, how some people are already, from once you see a police force coming towards you, you're going to behave yourself. As simple as that. And when they're fully tooled up, they look like they're ready for war. So I think they'll be able to handle whatever happens come weekend.
I agree with you, but I think people are going to come out and be peaceful and then just sit around and just hang out. I've seen it for the last 2 weeks in my local parks. like 3 weeks ago, police would come up to you and say, look, you can't sunbathe, get up and go home. Now that people are just in the parks with their families, almost like it's a normal day. So unless people intend to start trouble, I would see that the police would probably just supervise the issue as opposed to try and force people out by using horses.
Okay.
Yeah. Agreed. Maybe. Let's see what happens on the weekend. Let's see if this really does happen or not. And on the other hand, there's some people out there who are trying to do so much good for the cause, for the pandemic, for the frontliners. I saw on my Instagram a guy called Child of God. So that's his Instagram handle. He's doing a 40-day fast. This fast is to raise money for the NHS and for Africa. He's not eaten a piece of food for 40 days. I think he's on his 30th day now or something like that. He was asking people what they thought about what he was doing. And he actually put out a video where he said that he was a bit fed up because a lot of people were telling him they're scared for him and he should go to the doctor and things like that. I just wanted to know, what's your two opinion on this man? He's doing a 40-day fast. He's actually going to end his fast in Hyde Park. This is such a popular park, guys. Hyde Park. He's going to run a 5K run on the last day of his fast. And then he's going to eat with everybody. So he's put up that you can donate or you can join him on this run. I think you donate £5 to join him on his 5K run. And then at the end of it, he'll break his fast by eating with everybody and it'll be a celebration. What do you think of people who are going all out to do stuff like this for charity? Yeah, honestly, I was actually so blown away and overwhelmed. I have donated already, you know. Everyone go on his page and donate, actually. His page is Child of God. And I think it's an excellent thing that he's doing. And I'd love to see more people, not fasting per se, but pushing themselves to whatever limits they can push themselves to help give back. What would you do, Mr. C?
Well, I'm kind of like, I'm almost in 8 weeks of my pom pom fast now. So that's what I'm doing. So if you want, you can donate to PayPal, Mr. C.
GoFundMe.
Yeah.
Crowdfund.
Oh dear. And it happened, that was by choice, I'm sure. It just happened by default, huh?
It was a conscious choice. It was a conscious choice. I knew this pandemic, or pantidemic, I should call it. This pantidemic was going to go on for so long. But I had the vision to say, yeah, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do 40 days and 40 nights. No, seriously, I think what he's doing is absolutely amazing because, again, he's raising awareness for the NHS and also for much needed supplies in Africa. He's also sacrificing food. You know what I mean? He's putting himself in a position where he's having to deal without, and that is so challenging on the mind and the brain as well. And to think that he's going to even try and do a run afterwards, after 40. So, you know what? I'm definitely, I don't know about £5, but I'm going to donate to him £10 of self-raising flour so that he can make some dumpling, because he's going to need them. He's going to need dumpling after he's finished this thing. And I'm going to salute him. Child of God, I salute you.
Yeah,
that's incredible. I mean, to do a 40-day fast, I wouldn't be so concerned about the fast as about doing 5K after that, because your energy levels will be so depleted. I wonder how he's gonna actually do that. But kudos to him, man. His heart's certainly in the right place in terms of what he intends to. But my question is, why does the NHS need this money? I mean, don't they get money from the government? I mean, why do ordinary citizens have to do these weird and wonderful feats to sort of fund the NHS? Isn't it? We're told that the NHS is funded through our taxes, is it not?
Yeah, honestly, I think it's very strange to me. It's almost like why do we have Red Nose Day every year? We're doing the same thing. It's just like, wow, guys, I don't know. Where is this money really going? That's what I've always been skeptical about that. These things that happen for charity every year to help these people. We raise so many thousands, sometimes millions of pounds yet next year we're doing the same thing, and we're seeing the same videos. We're not seeing the updates. We're not seeing the changes. We're not seeing what they've built, what they've achieved half the time. We're just seeing the same poor images, which will obviously compel people to still give out money. So,
and a lot of these charities, they have boards by which the chief executives get 100 grand a year. So where's that money? How's he getting paid? You know, and you're never seeing a tally of how the money's been spent. And as you said, every year it's the same problem. You know, they love to, you know, show adverts of African children with flies around their eyes or big pot bellies, send £3 a month, you know, give you the sad music, the little child's looking at you through the television.
yeah,
Every year, and there's no, you know, and then they talk, oh, by 2055, we hope to have eradicated child poverty completely.
Yes.
You know, 2055 come, please send more money, please, if you can donate £10 a month. Somebody's making some serious money out of this.
honestly.
Exactly.
Honestly.
I want to know, why is it for everything it's the same £2 donation, whether it's a child in Africa, whether it's cancer research, whether it's feed the tigers or help the tigers, save the tigers, it's the same £2. Same £2.
Oh,
And you know, it's supposed to see, they always have the sad music, and they have to pull at the heartstrings, isn't it?
yeah, they do.
And you're sitting there, the little boys looking at you like, or you know, it's a tiger on the ground, half dead. It's all this music to get you to start texting or text donation to whatever number. They know how to manipulate your emotions.
They do. They really do. But again, please do go on at Child of God Online to donate towards his charitable cause. He's going to run the 5K. He's not eating for 40 days. In fact, when he was having his rant about people coming on with their negativity, he was running a 3K run that morning with his camera in his hand, telling everybody to stop being so negative because he's doing just fine. That for me just lifted me up for the week, and I just thought, wow, what an inspiration. So I'm so glad we spoke about that. Let's move on to sports. This is you guys' field. Sports. They're saying that some sports are going to be able to start happening again, and I believe there's been some boxers showing off online. Tony, fill us in. Come on. I know you know about what's going on.
I must admit, I've not been keeping up with the sports. I've heard something about football being played behind closed doors.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure actually, you know, when the season's going to start, when we're going to have spectators. I mean, somebody can let us know in the chat box if that's the case. But what's really got me pumped this week, and last week, we touched on it last week, is the return of Mike Tyson to the world of boxing.
Wow, he's back.
If anybody has seen the little promo video that Mike has put out on his Instagram, my goodness, it's chills down my spine. Incredible. Man at 53 years old, he's lost a little bit of speed, but he's faster than anybody else out there today. And then yesterday he put out a brand new video. Oh, mate, I tell you what, I wanted to fight someone after I saw that video. It's just like, this guy, man, if he puts his mind to it, I tell you, I don't know, there's nothing he can't do. There really isn't. He just looks the part. You know, his timing is a little bit off. You know, he's got a little bit of rust, but he's only been back on the pads, apparently, you know, punching the pads for about 2 or 3 weeks. But his video will just blow you away. And then on top of that, his nemesis, Evander Holyfield, has decided now he's coming out of retirement because he wants to fight for charity and do exhibition matches. So now, you know, the papers are talking about, are we going to get Evander Holyfield and Mike Tyson 3? Because they previously had 2 fights, and now they're talking about, is it possible that they're going to have a 3rd one? So, for those of us who are boxing fans, this is exciting.
Yeah, I've heard that if it happens, they're going to call it From Here to Eternity.
Yeah.
Quick.
Don't come here with that.
Don't come here with that. Boom, boom.
It's so true, Tony, isn't it?
You can go over there, but don't come here.
Oh, my goodness. So what are we saying? Would you put money down on these fights?
I tell you what, if you wanted to you'd have to put a bet down now, right? Before Mike steps into the ring and say Mike is going to win at least a belt.
Yeah.
Or he might end up being a top 10 heavyweight contender. if you put money on that, listen, you're going to be safe for the rest of your life because he's going to do it.
What about any other sports? Are there any other sports that we're waiting to see come back? What else are we missing?
I think for myself, it's football.
Yeah.
I absolutely love and adore football. Always have, always will. You know, it's been difficult for people who have been Liverpool fans because this is the closest they've ever been to winning something winning the Premiership, I should say, in 10 years. And to come so close, they've done so well. I'm not a Liverpool fan myself, but I have to give credit where it's due. And the fact that they could have been robbed from their glory this season, I'm just happy for them that you know, they can come to some kind of conclusion. I think another sport which I don't think people put enough value on this sport, which is vital, especially in our community, is Dominos.
Dominos. Yeah.
We need to listen, because you can't play Dominos from social distance. It doesn't work.
I was going to ask that. Does it not work? Can you not sit like at either end of the table, lean in, slam it down, and then sit back down? No, that doesn't work. Okay. What a shame.
So when you got that key card in your hand, you know, and you want to push it in a man's forehead and everything. It's like, go on, play your ES2 now. You just push it in your forehead, boom, like this. And you just boom, and everything just go woof, 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 woof. Oh man! And I said to them, pick it up. You don't want to see them picking it up.
Mr. C, I can see you're passionate about this. So, do you play? Do you play on the?
Come on, born and raised on Dominos, man.
Mm.
My sister's husband, when he used to make us play Dominos, and what would happen is, whichever, because we played in teams, so whoever won would get a drink of their choice, and whoever lost, each of them had to drink a pint of cold water. So you imagine when you lose like 5 games on the trot, boy, your belly is just.
I can imagine. Tony, what about you? Do you play Dominos?
Not so much. No. But I think football is going to be a good indicator as to where we're going to be in the next couple of months. I think once you start seeing games with crowd in the stadiums, I think we can safely say the lockdown is pretty much over. That's what I've been looking at. You know, the football lobby is quite large and powerful. So when they come back, then pretty much everything else I feel is going to fall into line. But as far as sports are concerned, I like watching tennis. So I like watching the Opens, the Australian Open, Wimbledon, and the US Open. And so we'll see what this young girl, Coco Gauff, does. You know, see if Serena's still got it after this lockdown. Yeah, so tennis, I'm looking forward to when that comes back.
I mean, tennis can be done socially distanced, can it not? Well,
behind closed doors, yes.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. This week was also VE Day, or is it Veterans Day? What do we call it? I see it as
Victory in Europe.
Victory in Europe, that's what it is.
Oh, it's Victory in Europe Day, sorry. So some people were complaining that, you know, as Black and ethnic minorities were not represented enough in the news and all the chats about it. They didn't talk about all the people who came over to help with. So what were your feelings on that, Tony, first of all? Did you notice that?
Yeah, you couldn't help but notice it, really. I mean, it was all over Facebook. When you consider I believe it's in Hyde Park, is it? Or by Marble Arch, where they've got a commemoration for the donkeys that were basically used in the First World War and Second World War, and yet there was no commemoration for the blacks and Indians that were basically that fought. Then you know what it's all about. All the footage of the war heroes, are white, and it's quite interesting. In France, particularly during the Second War, after the war was over, and I didn't know this, and this quite surprised me. When they had the march in Paris, the Victory March for the soldiers, they made sure that the first battalions were all white. So basically you had a lot of people from French Africa who fought for the French during the Second World War, but they were not included in the actual battalions that marched. That were all put on camera. They made sure that they were all white. So of course, what you're looking at in reality is revisionist history.
Yeah, it's a difficult one, man, because it wasn't until, to be honest with you, until very, very late in my life that I even realized there was so many black and other hues of color who were involved in the war. In the war, I just, because when I was growing up at school, we never saw any of these images. We never heard of any of these stories. So for me, again, when we used to watch all the big films, there was never any kind of representation of what really happened. So, to find about it later on in life, I still think it's so vital that our people understand that we played a part in this freedom that we have here. But most importantly, man, because like for me, I again, it's just my own personal opinion that I couldn't allow any of my sons to go into the army or military forces. As much as I have total respect for those guys who lay down their life for their country, but I just think some of the things what I'm seeing now, where they're sending troops here, there, and everywhere for ridiculous reasons, it's like they've got no value for people's lives. And I don't think if you can't recognize our heroes of the past, you're never going to recognize our heroes of the future.
Yeah, well said. Well said. Anne Marie said there's a memorial stone in Brixton for our soldiers, Windrush Square.
Yes, that was after much campaigning and complaining. In fact, and that was actually quite recently put there. But you're talking about a big place like Hyde Park, where the major memorials are, and you're not getting a look in. The millions who died from the Commonwealth who fought for this country. And again, it's almost like when you're looking at a history or you're reading about history, you will not be seen there because history is written by the conquerors.
And again, it's part of ethnic cleansing. That's what it is as well. So they do it all the time. So it's nothing new, and that's why it's important for us to tell our own stories and write our own history.
Yeah, and in saying that, this week we have lost brother Dougie and Ty, the UK rapper, very influential people in our community. When this news was sent out, how did you feel, Mr. C and Tony, about our loss?
Well, I can speak about Ty, man, because I've worked with Ty for quite a while. I first met him through close friends, Stoffrey Sisters, when they used to do a thing called Kindred Spirit, and Ty was one of the artists who performed there, and I've been a kind of close friend, and I've been a big fan from since I saw him do his thing live. And again, just through the personal stories of people I know who know him really well, that he was just number one. He was just one of those genuinely nice guys. He always had a lovely energy about him. There's in the whole experience of knowing people who know him, there's not one story I've ever heard or one person ever said, Ty, is always words of love and splendor about that guy. And again, what he did musically as well, the fact that he had his own stamp, his own voice in the music. Very proud of his African and his British heritage, Brixton born, and wanted to really kind of change the way how especially this country saw UK rappers. They wanted to kind of label every UK rapper as troublemaker and you're not good enough for mainstream, and he really wanted to be a kind of pioneer and champion and change that. And when he got nominated for the Mercury, I think that was, for all of us, it was like, what, this is one artist who really deserved that nomination. And again, for all of us, he was already a champion. So, his music will always live on, and for me, man, I should have tear when I heard, and I'm not somebody who cries easily, man. He was a wonderful guy, man. Sorry, man. Bless you, man.
Yeah. Tony, do you have any words on brother Dougie?
Yeah, I knew brother Dougie many years ago, and a very, very conscious brother. And even if you didn't know him, Dougie's a man. He always made you feel welcome. You know, he had a lovely smile, an engaging smile, and he was very, very knowledgeable. But he wasn't cocky with his knowledge, and he always enjoyed sharing conversations about positive thinking. You know, what the Black community needs to do. He used to put on many events to lift the community. And it's a very, very sad loss. We need more men and women like Dougie who basically do their best to push the culture forward in a very positive way. So it's so sad that his death happened during this time, because, you know, had it been, you know, any other time, I don't think there would have been enough people, there would have been enough space to fit the amount of people that loved him so much that wanted to pay tribute to him. I know they did. I know there was an online tribute that took many, many hours for people to come and say and talk about Dougie and the things that he had achieved, and you know what a great man he was. And that is a wonderful legacy that he's left us with. You know, when people talk about, I want to leave a legacy, that is what you call a legacy, and he will always be remembered as, you know, a positive, conscious brother, you know, that always embraced his people.
Definitely two men who are legends, lost and left us, but they will never be forgotten. And I'm sure they've put their stamp on many of us, being mentors, being influencers, being inspirers. But I think it's a sign for all of us to make sure that we live each day to its fullest right now, doing whatever we can do right now to impact this world, and also look around and appreciate those who are making moves on our behalf, those who are standing strong for themselves. Let's congratulate them all. Let's make sure that we take the time out to call people, to tell them well done for what they're doing, or to inspire. Today is our day, basically, because tomorrow is not promised. But however, we are here. We're smiling. We're conversating, Mr. C and Tony. We've had such a good chat today. Thank you so much for joining. As you usually do, giving such great contributions to the show. What a week. Thank you, everybody who's been watching and messaging us in the chat. We hope to see you all again next week, same time, same place. That's bye from me, Mr. C. I'll let you sign out. How do you want to sign out today?
I'm going to sign out again with another tribute to Betty Wright, who we lost as well, and Little Richard, the king of rock and roll, man. So again, I'll be playing their music, man, tonight, man. Definitely.
Yes.
Enjoy.
Tony?
And we didn't get a chance to talk about our young brother in America who was gunned down by two murderers. Yeah. And they tried to hide that case, and that case has now come to light. Interestingly, you may not know, but yesterday, armed Black militia men surrounded the house of the two murderers, and the police had to come down in a standoff. Wow. Because now Black people are starting to say, you know what, we need to do something about this. We're not going to take this no more. And we're starting to see reverberations of movements across the states now. And people say, listen, this peaceful protest and marching is not working. We're getting gunned down left, right, and center. And so we hope for justice.
Yes.
But, you know, how much of this other people going to take?
Let's stay positive, guys. Let's stay safe. Let's stay alert. Let's stay inside, but go outside. Go to work, but don't go to work. Whatever you choose to do, stay safe. Make sure it's right for you. And we'll see you again next week on What a Week. Thank you for watching.